This is a demo of a piece of software I've been building for the business I'm starting called ClearTune ML. This software is for data scientists to help them tune their machine learning models using LLM reasoning. I plan on expanding the functionality to more parts of the pipeline of building a machine learning model, but for now it'll just be tuning the model. So this is a very early version. It won't be released yet. The UI is very basic. This is just to demonstrate proof of concept, basically. So saying that, the first thing you do, obviously, you can load your data set. So if I load it here, it then shows up here. You can see your data set, a little viewer of it. And then here, this is about displaying what you want. So you can display whatever columns you want by clicking on the columns you want. So class is just a column of 0, so I'm not going to display that. And then here, this is for columns here. And then you can filter out rows here. So for example, if we want time is less than, say, 7, and this toggles the filter you've entered on and off. So if we toggle on, now it's filtered a bunch of rows. So we just have the rows where time is less than 7, as you can see here. You can have up to 5, but I plan on making it so it's as many as you want. But for now, just 5 different filters you can add at one time. You can have equal to, not equal to, less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. You can display train, test, and main dataset if you're interested in that. Now for training, these are the columns to be used for training as features, and this bottom one is the column to be used for your target variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and predict amount using time and then V1 to V10. This is a random data set I downloaded from Kaggle, by the way. And now, so at the moment, this only works for linear regression. Obviously, I plan on expanding it, but right now it's linear regression and ridge normalization is what these alpha values are. So what this is going to do, there's a click to begin training here. What it's going to do is it's going to try multiple alpha values. So it's going to change the hyperparameters. And with each hyperparameter, it's going to show the cost function. And it's going to print it on a graph. So you can sort of see how the cost function is changing with different hyperparameter values. After that, using LLM reasoning, it's going to try its own alpha values after the initial values that you've specified. So these are the default values, but you can put whatever you want. You can enter whatever values to start with. And once you've entered them, if you decide, actually, I just want the default, tick this, and it'll ignore these values you put in here. At the moment, it's the default values anyway, so it makes no difference. And then here you can choose how many iterations you have, or how many iterations the LLM will try. So after these 5, it'll try another 5 because it defaults to 10. But if I enter 12, it'll try these 5 values, then it'll try a further 7 values decided on by the LLM. So the LLM will take each value, and using this new piece of information, as well as all the previous iterations, it'll come up with a new one. And it'll do it live, as I'll show you now. So if I click begin training, and give it a second. So here's the graph. So alpha equals 1, alpha equals 10, alpha equals 100. So live, it's trying each different value of alpha, graphing it. And then here, it's outputting its reasoning as well as the cost function. So you can see the cost function initially was 373. And then it gives you reasoning. At the beginning, it's just saying following protocol because it's following those first 5 initial values. But once we go past the preset values, then it'll say cost at 0.01 is 42, best so far. And then some other reasoning as to why it's trying what it's going to try in the next value. It'll keep doing that. So this supplements the graph. So you can just see why the LLM did what it did. And you can see here it's decided on a very small alpha value because these small alpha values are doing better. 100 also did a bit better, so maybe it could have tried some big values as well. There's a lot more I plan on adding to this LLM reasoning. At the moment, it's very basic. It's just a system prompt. So it's just going to use bisection method. But once I add all the things I plan on adding, hopefully it'll be much more robust than it is at the moment. But even as it is now, you can see it sort of just automatically finds a decent value for alpha. And then also, so I'll click it again. try a different value just to showcase it. Say we'll do 15. Actually, I'll do a smaller value. If we do 7 and then train it, if we look at the data set, we can see the prediction column. It'll change live with each alpha value. So you can see exactly what's happening in the data set while it trains, or while it chooses each alpha value and tinkers with it. So this time it's landed on 0.003. And also at the end, it'll tell you which alpha value it's landed on and why. So on top of this, so I haven't finished this feature yet, but the plan is to have Python code that at any point you can just paste into your IDE and you can manually do whatever you want. So you're not stuck with what it gives you. So if you ignore this part, and if you ignore some other lines as well, just as a vague idea, you can sort of see the Python code will be here. And at any point, if you want to just do it yourself, you can by copying and pasting this in. So generally, the idea of this product is to allow complete control for the data scientists to do what they want and complete visibility to prevent this product being a black box. So generally speaking, rather than using LLM reasoning to just get rid of the data scientist, it is there for people with knowledge to empower them to speed up the machine learning process, rather than just any old person just clicking a button and it making a machine learning model. So generally speaking, how I see SaaS going on in the future in the world of AI and LLM reasoning is, rather than just making software that is just an agent and you just click a button and it does everything magically, I think LLM reasoning just isn't there yet, and I don't think it will be there for a while. So for now, after the dust settles and all the hype goes away and some companies maybe disappear, what'll be left are these sorts of pieces of software that are built by people with domain software and is used by people with domain software, because LLMs need their hand held through every part of the journey. And I think that's what I'm trying to do with this software. And I think that's what SaaS will need to do in the coming future. So hopefully that's what this software can provide for people. And on top of that, notably, I've not used any agentic AI. So there's no AI doing tasks for itself. This is because they are very token heavy and they cost a lot. And especially if tokens rise in price, I think this can really ease the cost for people creating software to sell. And generally with SaaS in the future, I think what will happen is agentic AI will be a separate thing to SaaS. So these sorts of software where it uses LLM reasoning can then be used by a separate LLM agent, rather than having the agent embedded into the software and costing the person creating the product lots of money, and in consequence making this more expensive. By not having agents embedded in, this makes the software much more cheap. And then on top of that, if a user wants to use an agent, something like Claude or OpenAI, these companies developing the LLMs themselves, you can use their agents to act on these pieces of software. So then when you try to make an LLM product, you're not having to eat these massive token costs. So that's my prediction for the future / vision for the future, and my vision for this product. I'm hoping to expand it out to more of the pipeline, like I mentioned earlier. But for now, this is what I'll be focusing on. There's a lot of back-end stuff I need to do before I can release it. And then hopefully I can add more machine learning algorithms, more hyperparameters as well. And then I'll release it for free for people to trial and use and give feedback. And then off of that feedback, I'll try and make the product as good as I can. And at some point, hopefully I can start charging for it. But it'll start out free. But I do plan on making it cost. So if you're interested in this product, if you think it can go somewhere, or if you're interested in using it at some point, stay tuned and I'll try and keep you updated. But for now, that's it. And I'll see you in the next video. I forgot to mention, I also plan on adding a text box in which you can enter domain-specific knowledge, which the LLM can take into account while tuning your model for you. So this means it can take into account any piece of expertise that you might have that could be useful for tuning the model. For example, if you have specific constraints for specific variables, or if you know it's going to follow, or if you know a variable is going to follow a specific trend or something like that, anything which might be relevant to your particular domain for any variable or anything, you can add it in and it'll inject it into the system prompt for the LLM.